Okay, oh my goodness. Why did we do admit all? Hi, loves. Let me get this figured out. I don't know why we have a waiting room for this meeting. Dang. Hopefully everybody can get in okay. Welcome. Welcome. We're going to get on the IG live too for Hi Loves. Hopefully I'm going to try and see if we can automatically approve everyone. This is what happens when I set up the meetings instead of Carrie and I forget to push buttons. Oh my gosh. Okay, allow. Okay, perfect. Now everybody can just jump right in. Perfect. Yay! Welcome, loves. Hi, Kira. Hi, Nina. Hi, Stacia. Hi, Marina, Tori, and Tori. We have two Tories. Yay! I love it. I'm so happy that you could jump on live. I'm gonna jump on. It's 1:11 my time. How awesome is that? I'm going to. It's perfect manifesting moment. Jump on the live. We're opening this one up for everyone on Instagram, and I'm super excited about it because this is so needed. We're going to talk about some good stuff. So let's do this thing. Yay! All right, we are now live. It is 1:11 p.m. Mountain Time, and we're talking about manifesting. This is so perfect, so perfect. All right, welcome, loves. We're going to start by lighting our candle and lighting our incense. And I'm just pinning a comment here on the Instagram really quick. There we go. Yay! That way it's done. And let's make sure that this stays up here. And then we have everyone on Zoom. Let's take a moment and light our candle. And let's set some intentions. Yay! Okay, oh, you guys on Zoom can see like all of the new prints in the background. Do you see the prints of space? Here, I'll show you guys too in the room. Look, I'm setting up all of the cool stuff for the retreat coming up. It's so fun. Okay, let's set some intentions. So take a breath and then exhale. Inhale again. Hold the breath for just a moment. Exhale, let everything go. And then let's inhale, let's light a candle. If you don't have a candle, just mentally light it with me. And set an intention. If you're looking for any answers, any insights, any inspiration, anything, any clarity, anything that you actually want to manifest clarity or just manifest all together during this training today, set that intention now, okay? And then set the intention. I always like to define my experience. This is what I teach you guys all the time. So set the intention for this to be easy, for it to be fun, for this to be like going straight into your conscious, subconscious, that you pick up all the things that you've been needing to pick up, and that everything is gonna work out as smoothly, as easily, and you're gonna, have that domino effect in your mind where everything is making sense. And whatever else you wanna do, like, new levels, new heights, manifesting, whatever it is that you wanna manifest. I'm lighting some incense. And we're gonna clear our space. If you have incense, sage, Palo Santo, anything that you want to, just clear the space, clear around you, create all the good vibes. We wave it in a figure 8, clearing out everything that is not unity, which is so needed right now in a figure 8, clearing out polarity and mentally connecting to unity consciousness in this infinity, in this eternal moment of now. And then we're going to ground really quick. So let's take a moment and get grounded so that the information can come through us. So rub your palms together, take a deep breath in, close your eyes. Press the palms together, hold the breath, bring the palms to the heart center, straighten your spine, and then exhale. Inhale again into your heart. Hold the breath into your heart. Connect to your heartbeat. Connect to your love. Connect to your higher energy. And then exhale. And then inhale again into your heart. This time as we exhale, we're going to connect down to the light grid. So exhale, connecting down to the light grid, to the higher consciousness grid, to the new earth. Visualize yourself plugged in to all of the new earth energies, to the higher vibrational frequencies, to the 7th to 12th dimensional frequencies. Beautiful. And then we're going to go connect to the earth. Inhale into your heart. Exhale down, all the way down to the earth. Going through the layers, go down, down, down. Push your breath, your awareness all the way down, 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 down to the heart of the earth, to the heartbeat. Feel that. Boom, 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 boom. That sync up, that feeling safe, feeling supported, feeling connected, feeling one with the energy of our planet, with the earth, connecting to the fairies, the devas, the crystal kingdom, the elementals, connecting to all of the magic of the inner earth. And then inhale that love and that support back up. Mother Nature, Mother Earth. Inhale, feel yourself wrapped, enveloped in her love. All the way up, feel it rising up, supporting you and just spiraling around you, holding you in support, in safety, in love, in healing. Bring it into your heart. And then inhale behind your eyes really quick. Let's activate our third eye, our vision, our ability to see beyond, to receive messages that are unseen, to bring them into sight. You can turn your gaze in and up, putting pressure on that nerve, on the pineal gland. And then exhale, send your energy up. We're going all the way to higher self, to higher energy, all the way up through the chakra pillar, climbing the layers of yourself. How high can you get with your breath? Reaching all the way. Inhale again into your heart. Exhale, navigating the length of who you are all the way up through the higher realms, all the way, higher self energy, and then connect. Boom. Feel that connection to the truth of who you are outside of the body, all the way up. And inhale. Feel the support. God, angels, universe, higher self. Feel that support, harmony, joy, answers, abundance, everything raining down on you. Bring it down. Inhale. Inhale your knowingness, your wisdom, your ancient soul, everything that is you, that is in the stars. Bring it down all the way into your heart, through your crown chakra, connecting heaven and earth in your heart. And here, from this place, check in with your heart. Alchemy of heaven and earth in your heart. Okay? Expand your light, expand it in your aura, expand it out. Make some room for yourself. And decide here, or check in here with the true desires of your heart. Decide what you want. Decide what you're ready for today. Really feel this activation in your heart. Check in with the desires of your heart, because we're going to work through them, okay? Call in your guides, your angels if you'd like, and then when you're ready, open your eyes. Here we are. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Okay, beautiful. Here we are. Okay, loves. Let's start this thing. It's so much better when we get connected like that. It is imperative whenever you want to manifest anything in life. Love, money, support, healing, relationships, jobs, houses. If you don't feel supported by heaven and earth, it's like you're fighting against, you're working against the current. So if you're trying to manifest something, so let's start very strong with this statement. If you want to manifest something, first of all, forget the trying part. Take out trying out of your vocabulary, okay? The word trying is gone. We're done with that. If you want to manifest something in your life, before you actually work on the thing itself, okay, you have to clear the resistance that you have around the thing. And this is our number one thing that we're talking about today. I actually have a list of things that we're talking about. So number one is clearing the resistance. And a lot of times it's easier done energetically than it is done in fact, okay? So when you are not connected to heaven and earth, and you're not connected in your higher alignment, and you're not connected to the essence of who you are, which is not just the part of you that resides in the body, okay, you ain't manifesting because you're not in the flow, okay? So everything that is resistance. So today we're going to talk about resistance, clearing doubts. We're going to talk about fear of failure when manifesting. We're going to talk about fear of success, and we're going to talk about feeling worthy. Okay, so these are the items that we're going to talk about that are coming up and screaming out loud in the world right now as a whole, because they're being injected into the collective consciousness. And so the collective subconscious is picking it up, and that's the stuff we need to clear, because when we're swimming with this kind of stuff, then our mechanisms for manifesting are being blocked. And this is the situation at hand, okay? So what we want to do is get really good at clearing these things up so that we can manifest the things that we want. Because if we just talk about going for the manifesting, right, which a lot of people talk about, okay, in order to manifest this, you have to decide what you want, and then you have to set it out into the universe, and then you have to surrender it, and then you have to believe it. Well, what the fuck does that actually mean, okay? Like, what do you actually do when you do those things? How does that actually work? Because a lot of people are like, okay, sure, this is how much money I want. And then this is how much, I want this kind of relationship in my life, or this is what I want. And then I'm going to just write some things down, and then I'm going to put it out there in the universe. And then I get this from a lot of friends too, right? And then they're like, I thought I'm doing this manifesting thing, but it's like really not working. Like, I don't know what like this surrendering thing is. Like, I thought like I put it out there in the universe. Like, that's not going to work out. Okay. Like, that's not how this goes. Okay. So we've already talked, this is part 3. So remember, this is part 3 of a series. Number 1 of the series is here. We talked about, it's here on Instagram. It is free. Okay. It's on my YouTube. It was a live mini training that we did. And we talked about how money is a mirror of the relationship with your father subconsciously, and how love is a mirror of the relationship with your mother, okay? If you don't know how to work through this stuff, then go back to number 1. In number 2, we talked about how, and this was a bonus if you're in the courses, okay? Which I was gonna do this one, a bonus for the courses too, but I decided to open it up to everybody because it's needed in the world. In the second part, we talked about the magic manifesting formula, okay, which is the one that I told you guys I sent it to give you a screenshot of, but this is where we work through our belief system. So it's not, manifesting is not magic, it's a function of belief systems, reorganizing our belief systems and deciding to work through the things, reorganizing the energy of our belief systems, figuring out what doesn't work, and then making it work. It's like a recipe, right? It's like you're making something happen. So that was number 2. Here, now we're gonna talk about how to clear this stuff. So number 3, we're gonna talk about the fact that the truth of it is that everything in the energy of the universe wants to expand, okay? Everything is abundance. Everything is already happening. But when we are in human form, we forget that. And so we have a barrier. This barrier is resistance. This barrier is doubts. This barrier is fears. It's unworthiness. It's not good enough. It's what if I fuck up? Like, it's, whatever. All the barriers that we make up. It's like, what if I get hurt? What if I screw up? Right? All of these things. They're called the walls. Remember how at one point, actually, let me finish saying this, and then we'll go into that. When we have all these barriers, whatever naturally wants to come to us, the abundance that wants to come to us, the love that wants to come to us, the money that wants to come to us, the health that wants to come to us, it can't, because we're putting locks on locks and deadbolt and big fat walls on it. So it's not going to work out. So with that, let's talk about love for a minute. And I'm talking in general about both love and money, and then we can get specific if you guys have questions, right? But it really is similar. If you understand that they're both a function of energy, they're both a function of the relationship with our parents, and they're both a function of feeling supported, okay? So really, both of them, the formulas are very similar to how you do this. Except some people feel more worthy of love because love is not like a thing that you can quantify with a dollar sign. And so you feel like that's more reachable. Well, money actually is, a thing, a paper thing that is very controversial in the world. So it becomes a little bit harder, okay? But it's the same thing. For some people, money is really easy and love is not really easy. For some people, it's, whatever. Everybody has a different thing that, it's just a function of recalibration. So we don't really have to make this hard. It is not hard. We just have to understand how to do this. So at one point in our society, okay, we were like taught, I want to say, in, think about through like high school, maybe even before, maybe in like middle school or some things. It was really cool in our society in every society, like, you're an infinite being of light incarnated in a human body. And all of a sudden you have to fit inside of a human world where people got distorted through, eons of time. So now you're fitting into a society that is distorted and you're trying to figure this stuff out, okay? And then culturally, there are these ideas that get injected in our realm, okay? Some of these ideas are, hey, the majority of the people are poor. So if you're not living paycheck to paycheck, then, why are you such a snob? And why are you this? It is not cool if, whatever, you have money. So la, 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 right? These are some of the things that were happening. And it's like, well, blah, blah, blah. So there were judgments around money when we were kids, right? Or, oh, whatever, your parents give you money. You don't even know this and this and this and this, right? So there were things that came up around money that because most people didn't have that, because that's just the nature of our world, unless you went to a private school, and whatever. But even then, there's judgments, right? I spent a couple of years in a private school, and there are judgments of money. Like at every level, at every given level, there's always a function of children being judged according to the level of money that their parents have. It is the nature of the society that we live in. It is one of the issues, and kids are made to feel like shit. And that is a thing that happens, and it starts young. This is where your programming starts, right? And in a lot of families, we don't talk about money. That's not a thing we talk about. Your parents didn't sit you down. Nobody, like, we talked about accounting. We talked about how to count the numbers, but nobody actually taught us how to, like, do the things. Besides, if you're like, in some elite groups and some secret societies that actually teach you this shit early on because they understand the value of conditioning the mind in the right ways very early on. This is another conversation. Okay, so you grew up and all of a sudden it's like not cool. It's cool to be in poverty consciousness. It's cool to have to work out. Somehow we buy into this shit because you want to be like the other people, right? Oh, I can't afford that yet. Oh, I can't do that. Oh, on my next check, on my next payday, I'm going to do this. On my next thing, I'm going to do this. And it becomes this constant like limitation and this constant defining and this constant excuse. And then you get used to it, right? And then it becomes part of your vocabulary, part of the words that you say. And you don't even realize these are like spells. It's like black magic that you put on yourself. Every time you go out there and you're like, oh, I can't afford that, you're basically saying whatever I want is not worth it. My soul is not worth having that. And then every time it just gets like deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, like it goes deep, right? That's one thing. The other thing that happens, and that's with money. So this is how early it starts with money. And then when it comes to love on the other side, okay, so we have this resistance because we don't understand it, but money is this thing that we can't quite understand because it makes us cool or it makes us uncool, or whatever. And then on the other side, we have, or sometimes you get judged for having money, right? Like you get judged for, there's judgments no matter what. And either way, it's almost like it's a society set up to where you can't really win, okay? And that's the point that we're gonna get through today is that there's like no winning unless you're winning internally. So, okay, and then we're talking about love. And when it comes to love, right? How many people were taught that it was cool to have walls. Oh, I got fucking walls. Like, he ain't doing this, she ain't doing this, right? Like, you can't get through to me. You can't do this. La, 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 la. I mean, hello. Like, we put the walls there. We put the motherfucking walls there because we thought it was cool, because society thought it was cool. I mean, even now, what was like the recent movements, which I don't really get into, so I probably shouldn't even talk about, but it was what? The whole fact that it was so cool to have the resting bitch face. Why would it ever be cool to have a bitch face? Like, why would that concept be cool in terms of like, hey, let's put this out there in the world, which is a negative thing, but let's make it really cool. Like saying the word sick, oh, that's so sick. And sick is like a word that means dysfunctional and dis-ease and lack of wellness. And all of a sudden that word became cool. And then people were saying it and they're sending this energy that is like dissonant, okay? This is dissonance. This is how it plays out in our lives. And then we put spells on things. So it is not cool to have bitch faces going around. It is cool to share smiles, okay? It is cool to share love. It is cool to uplift the general spirit of the people. People don't need more bitching people at all. People need more smiling and loving people in society. Okay, hang on one second, because here there are things happening that I am not seeing on, there we go. Yeah, okay, so on Zoom. So this on Zoom, Stacia's saying, yeah, to not care about anything. Yeah, it's like the less you care about, the cooler you are. That's like the function of our society. Oh, I don't care about that. I don't care about that. I'm like, this, you know, this glass heart. How many, I mean, sometimes I see this stuff still going around, even though I follow people that are mostly like on Instagram, I follow people that are mostly like, you know, with it. And, you know, that I've met at some point or something or other. And sometimes, man, I sit there and I support people as much as I can. And then they write this shit and I'm like, unfollow. Like I cannot read anymore. Well, you get the shit that you deserve because this glass heart is now breaking and blah, 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 blah. Okay, let's not like, really, let's go beyond that. It is not cool. There's a lot of like spiritual accounts that talk about those things and like, you know, the fact that like karma, you get what you do, whatever. But the point is, it's not cool to have a glass heart. But how is that convenient to society? So let's talk about that. How is that convenient to the world? Because maybe if you see it from this perspective, then you understand, okay? Because if you don't have feelings, you actually don't manifest. Feelings are the juice that makes things happen. My mentor, Gary, would always say this. It took me forever to understand it because I needed it in different words, but he will always say, feelings are the juice that makes things happen, okay? And sometimes, like, it took me years, but I was like, man, when I first met Gary 13 years ago, and I went through his, like, spiritual retreat called The Awakening, I had zero feelings, zero, completely. I was climbing the corporate America ladder. I was managing a modeling agency. It was like sex, drugs, rock and roll. It was deep into that whole scene. I had no feelings. And my whole breakthrough, you guys, was I feel. For the first time, I stood in front of like a giant room and I screamed, I feel. Like I could feel feelings. I had to do so much work just to unravel all through these walls, all through these barriers to feel my feelings. Why? Why is it convenient for people to not have feelings? Because if you don't have feelings, it's you are like a robot. You just function. You function at a 9 to 5. Which is not even a 9 to 5, because by that point, you're probably working 80 to 90 hours a week. You're not seeing your family. You're not seeing your kids. Everything is in daycare. Your children are being like, you know, raised by other people. The family is dysfunctional. You don't have enough time. Like there's just things that are like paramount from that. You get treated like shit and then it doesn't matter because you don't have feelings or you can't handle being treated like shit. So you have to turn your feelings off, which is like what happened to me because I worked in a land of like a bunch of men. And so it was just like, whoo, at some point you just decide like, I can't handle this, but I want to go this path. And so, you know, that's what you do. These are the things that get taught in society. So I fully understand how the programming works. And I fully understand how the unprogramming, how the deprogramming, how the, you know, the clearing up of all this stuff works. And it's a lot of work. So, but that doesn't mean we don't do it. It means that we actually like go for it full force. So the point is, it's very convenient for a society to have a bunch of people that don't have feelings, because then you don't know what the fuck you want. You don't. If you don't have feelings, you don't know what you want. And guess who gets to tell you what you want? Your television, your radio station, your ads on your phone. I don't care if you don't watch TV anymore. There's ads everywhere. There's spam in your inbox. There's things everywhere. You go out and you see the stuff at the stores, right? Amazon markets to you, Walmart markets, like wherever you are, this world runs on advertising, okay, and marketing. So every brand is out there competing for your attention, and whoever can catch your attention wins, because you have no feelings about the things that you want, right? And so it's like, oh, whatever, sure, that looks good. That's appealing. That's appealing to my senses, and then you go for it. So long story short is you end up being told what to do all of the time. There's a system that tells you what to do, that tells you what you're worthy of, that tells you what you should want, what you should look like, the things that are cool to do, the things that are not cool to do. It's all programmed. It's all dictated. And a lot of people just don't feel, so they don't know. Your feelings are your gauge. They're like your discernment. They're your navigation system. So if the system can get you to turn your feelings off, they win, because then they can stir you on autopilot. And that's what happens to the majority of the people. They're on autopilot, okay? They're just asleep through the world, going through the hamster wheel, doing the 9 to 5, the entertainment cycles, you know, finding the simple joys of life. Let's give the people a backyard, right, with a little bit of grass so that they can actually enjoy their 3 hours of family time every week, and then that's good enough. Like these kinds of things, like, you know, anyways, I could go on and on and on about how it's defined, right? It's a dream that is defined. Everything about what the people are channeled into is a dream that is defined. And, you know, that's why it's like, what's the next step? Where do I go next? Like, oh, this is the next right thing to do. Like in terms of like these kinds of things, because it's programmed, but people don't have a feeling to take them anywhere. And so it's outside in instead of inside out. Do you get what I'm saying? Feelings are important, because if you don't have feelings, you can't discern things, which brings us to current events. What's happening here? Okay, which brings us to the current events, which are a bunch of stuff is being pumped in to the system, and people that have been turned off feelings and don't have feelings, they can't make sense out of it. And so they're being told that they should probably fucking have feelings about this thing, because otherwise they're bad people. And so they have to do certain things in order to be good people. This is how it works, okay? This is exactly how it works. So that's the whole thing. If you don't have feelings, you don't have a compass. You don't have a reference point. Tori here is saying, I also think that people confuse detaching from the outcome with have no feelings about it. This is absolutely true, because feelings are a complex realm. It's like feelings are 4D. Feelings are fourth dimensional. They're not 3-dimensional, 4-dimensional, 5th dimensional, and above. So they actually are very complex. And there's a difference between feeling in your heart what you know to be true and what it is that you want and what it is that you need to stand for, and then actually clinging on to an outcome, clinging on to the way that you want things to go, clinging on to that control, okay? That there is a difference. So Tori, thank you for pointing that out. So there are layers of it, but the first step is that you have to make friends with your feelings, okay? Because if you don't make friends with your feelings, you're not going to thrive. You're going to survive in the world. And that's what most people are doing. And that's also a thing that has to do with like our medical system, right? So all the things that have to do with like medicating people. Everybody's medicated on some level or another. And if you're not medicated by an actual prescription drug, then you're probably like intaking ridiculous amounts of sugar or coffee or some other thing that like has to keep you going. Like the majority of you, I'm not saying you and like you guys, but I'm saying in general, right? This is how people stay in like these cycles of things. And then it's just another day. Let's just get through this. Let's just get through this. And then all of a sudden you're surviving. and you're not thriving. And I completely understand that there's a place, there are some times and some days and some moments in life where we, that is important, and having that drive to continue to go, because a lot of people give up, right? When you get to that point, a lot of people give up. And some people feel like, nope, I got to keep going. I got to keep going. And I command that because I know it's hard. But then the next step is we're going to thrive. So we're going to rewrite the story. This is why we do the work. This is why no matter what happens in the world, it is important that we have our center, that we have our peace, that we have our grounding, and that we know. Because when you are friends with yourself, when you make friends with yourself, when you make friends with your feelings, and when you're clear about who you are and where you stand, the things that happen in the world don't scare you, okay? So because we've built all these layers around who we are, that's the stuff that we need to clear to get through, okay? So let's just say you want to manifest something. So pick something in your mind that you want to manifest. It's easier to do with money because there's numbers attached to it, okay? And things just come up. But like if you're wanting to manifest a relationship, then think about that. Think about, the man of your dreams, the woman of your dreams, like whatever it is, and just tap into that really quick. And if you're wanting to manifest money, make it specific. Pick an amount, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, whatever. Maybe even like 2,000, whatever it is that feels good to you, okay? 100,000. I know there's some of you that are manifesting 100,000 because I do this work with you. So whatever it is, okay, that you're working on. So, and it's okay. Don't judge yourself. Whatever number comes up, whatever thing comes up, don't judge yourself. Like everybody has to. What is really important is that we all choose something that's our next level, okay? Next level. It doesn't matter. Everybody gets to be where they're at. There's no judgments here. So like let all that stuff go, okay? So you pick that, you pick something, okay? And now in your mind, breathe that in. So take a moment, hold that. If you think about love, think about, oh my gosh, this person's holding me in their arms. It's amazing. They do this for me. They do this for me, right? If you're thinking about money or whatever, like they make me feel this way, or I feel this way when I'm with them. But however the words come up in your mind, like feeling into that feeling. And if you are picking money, think about, oh my gosh, I see the zeros in my bank account. This actually happened. I feel so supported. Now I can pay these things and do these things and create this stuff. Oh, I feel like I can breathe, right? However, this is like starting to go in your mind, okay? If you can close your eyes and really feel it. And then we tap into this, okay? And then we open our eyes and we come back to reality. And look at what your mind tells you right now, okay? What is it your mind is telling you right now? Is it something like, yeah, that would be nice, but what comes up with the but, right? Like, oh yeah, sure, that would be cool if, right? There's always conditions. The point is that here, there's always conditions. There's always something that comes up. This is the resistance. This is the stuff to clear, okay? And the biggest part is the part where we doubt. And so we're going to skip through the resistance because the resistance can be cleared, right? Once you become conscious and you're awake, we've talked about resistance. We're talking about the things, think of resistance as the programming of society, which a lot of you guys are like beyond that, right? Like we understand this. We are on the other side of the society programming. So let's talk about doubts. These are the doubts that come up, right? Well, I mean, that could happen if you did more inner work. I mean, that maybe could happen if you really knew, but you don't really know. Like it's this next level of like spiritual doubts that come up, okay? When you're actually starting to get on the path, you're like, but do I really deserve it? Am I really la, 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 la? And so it's, it's kind of like that. And this specifically, it works with both money and with love. With love, it's easier to see because you will begin, like the way that you do your work, you will begin to, like as you move through your doubts, you begin to attract partners that are a little better, a little worse. You're like, damn it, I'm doubting myself. You go a little, you raise your own frequency a little bit, you raise your belief, your self-worth, and then you manifest somebody that's a little bit better, okay? It works for love, it works for clients, it works for friends, it works for everything, and it works for money. It's the same thing. We raise our belief in ourselves, we clear out the doubts, okay? So the work is in clearing out the doubts. So what are your doubts telling you? They're pointing something out, right? Like, if you have some doubts, we can work through them. And a lot of times, like, one of the biggest doubts that comes up when it comes to manifesting is fear of failure and fear of success, which sounds really funny, and they're like on the opposite side. However, let me talk to you about fear of failure first, okay? Because these are some of the doubts. And the work that we do to get in alignment clears out the doubts, okay? So for the majority of it is, if you can find your alignment, if you find your mission, if you find your purpose, the doubts get cleared and get cleared and get cleared until you get to that next slide. At every point, there will be doubts. So you have to learn how to evaluate them and how to overcome them. Otherwise, there would be no soul growth, right? So things come up, and then you're like, okay, well, let me look at that and ask yourself, okay, is this ultimately true? When your thing, there was a time that I had this like written on my mirror. I always do this stuff written on my mirror. Is it ultimately true? I went through a period of months where it was probably maybe possibly even a year. I woke up and my mind was attacked. Like, I was fighting hardcore for staying on the path. It was like the forces of everything that is, considering also where I was living and the situation where I was living, I had to fight to hold my integrity and my space, and where I was at. And then I was about to birth content. Sometimes this happens, like when you're about to do something major that's about to shift the general, awareness of the people of the planet or something like that, then, you're seen, you get better and wiser at this, but you get seen from the other side. And then, the doubts come and you get tracked. Our light is tracked. So we have to learn to, manage all of that. And so I had to fight every single day, fight in terms of like to claim myself, to overcome the doubts, to overcome the fears every single day in my mirror, right? Like, I had to like clear all the stuff, claim the good, clear all the stuff, claim what I wanted. And the doubts would come, like, you're not good enough, and you're not, you're going to do it wrong, and there's no way, and the world isn't ready for this. Because you guys have to understand, the things that I teach are like next level in my courses. So these are the things that come. It's like, the world isn't ready to hear about how to access the Akashic records. The world isn't ready to hear about integration of higher self. The world isn't ready to hear about how to run their energy points inside of their system. Like, I hear these things like, are you crazy? You're going to have reason, like, blah, blah, blah. So these things come up, and you have to like work through them as you conquer doubt by doubt and thing by thing, right? Then you rewrite your story. And once you're done, like, everything adds up, and then it becomes stable. It's like your neural pathways in your brain connect, and then you're done. Like, I don't have to do that stuff anymore, but you have to do it until it is connected, okay? And you don't want to give up midway. So if this is happening to you and you are in the process of rewiring, okay, your doubts that come up, don't do it one day or like 2 weeks for like a stint and then call it good because you didn't manifest and you tried, but it didn't work out. That's not how we do, okay? So if there is something that you want, think about the thing that you wanted, the partner or the money, you stay with it until you fucking get it. Okay, this is how we manifest. You stay with it. You do the work. You clear, okay? And you become a match for it. You become an energetic match for that once the doubts clear, because we're like magnets. We're energetically like magnets, okay? So however we manifest our doubts, however we attract, right, our fears, however we attract the voices of our friends that telling us, this is a bad idea, or, our partner saying things, you can't do that, or our friends, you can't do that with love. You're not ready for that. You need to do some healing. You're not ready for a next partner, right? Like, these are the things that come up. Like, whatever, like, you can manifest a person like that when you've done all this screw up in your life. You're not worthy of a person that will give you the world, whatever things come up. You have to actually clear all that stuff up And then you become a match for the things that you want. You have to clear up all the things that you don't want in order to embody the thing that you want. Then you're a magnet, you're a vibrational match for the thing that you want, okay? So the thing is, you're going to fail. We're all going to fail. So like, that happens, okay? There will be failures, and a lot of people are so scared to look bad. Forget that. Who cares? Who cares? You have to start, like, that's one of the things that I think it's easier to just say, fuck it, right? Like, instead of having to like work through a bunch of things, and if a bunch of things come up for you, then, you know, like actually work through them. But take it from a Virgo who's a perfectionist, and it's like, oh my gosh, we can't launch unless this is perfect. I had to overcome a lot of stuff and say, you know what? I'm going to screw up. And that's a hard lesson. It's a lesson of the ego, okay? Because your soul doesn't care. Your soul wants growth. It doesn't matter if the growth is perfect. Your soul wants to keep going. Your soul wants to learn. Your soul wants to stretch. So it doesn't matter if it's perfect. When you're looking for perfection, that's a function of the ego. If you're scared to fail, that's an ego situation, okay? Some people on the flip side are also scared of success. Why? Why is that a thing? And if you get really honest, because remember with these conversations, we have to get really honest. Fear of success is also like, holy shit, what if I actually make it? Like, then you don't have a mark, right? Nobody ever talks about what happens after you get there. And so a lot of people get stuck with that because you can't imagine something greater. But the truth is, the more you keep going, right? Like the more reach you have, like your vision gets clearer because you keep going. As you climb the mountain, you can see more of the valley, right? So it just keeps on expanding. But in the subconscious, it's like, you know, what if I do get this? And what if I do get that? And it's an interesting thing because and it does happen. And I remember feeling it because I was like, oh my gosh, I manifested this and this and this. I have exactly everything that I want. Now what? That actually was a moment that happened in my life. And I felt so good about all the things, right? And I was like, now what? Boom, the next level of things showed up because it always happens. So don't worry about making it. You're gonna have more things that come up, right? And so it's like, it's a moment and it's an adjustment and then you keep going. But in the subconscious, we sometimes put things on pedestals like, oh, this is so unreachable, right? Like, oh, if I only could ever possibly make it here. Don't make it that big a deal, okay? You're gonna get there. You just have to believe that you can. You're gonna have the thing, no matter what it is, the person, the health, the money, you're gonna get it. Like, just know that you're gonna get it. At some point it's gonna happen and then more things will show up. Because as long as you're in your alignment, your soul wants to grow. So there's not gonna be dull moments. There will always be something, okay? You will always be pulled and pulled and pulled, okay? So fear of success is a thing. Also because, oh my gosh, what about my family, my friends, the people, like what happens? How do I explain this? And then if I'm successful doing this and people will want this for me, and then I will not have time. There are judgments around fear of success, okay? This happens more so with money when you're like creating a business or things like that. I don't know that that's necessarily a thing with love, but you can look at that too. You know, I guess with love, like if I think about it, a lot of people like to stay in the struggle just because they know the struggle and they don't know peace. So a lot of people are so used to the struggle that the struggle is real. Right? Like all these trendy things that we say, like you're so used to like, oh, if your heart hurts, then you must be cool because that's so edgy. And, you know, oh my gosh, then, you know, what happened? You don't allow yourself to actually land somewhere because you're always in the struggle. The struggle is shitty, but the struggle became comfortable and the struggle is what you know, and you don't know peace. And success when it comes to love means peace and love. And you're not used to it. So for a lot of people, you get into a relationship and then there's no controversy and no shit. So you manifest it. You manifest some fights, you manifest some drama, you manifest somebody that ends up cheating on you, and then you're back to the motherfucking this and la 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 la, and then you can continue to bitch because that's the consciousness that you're holding inside. Okay, so if that happens, that's why. That's how fear of success would manifest in love, right? Fear of success would manifest when it comes to money. You would manifest the money and then the money would disappear. Okay. Or like you would, like in your mind, these are the things. It's like, oh my gosh, but what if I can only do it once? What if I can't sustain it? What if I can't actually do it? What if I don't have what it takes? What if I can only do it once and then I screw it up and I lose everything? Clear, bust through all that. Bullshit, literally. Go like this. It literally, it's shifting the energy. For the full moon lunar eclipse, as we're clearing doubts, okay, of Moon Babe Society and the classes, we did this amazing thing called Fists of Anger, which is a Kundalini meditation called Fists of Anger, where you literally swish through your aura, and if you did it, like super powerful, you're sore. I know my arms are sore. And you go through and you literally clear all the things through your aura. You can look it up. It's called Fists of Anger and Kundalini. Not any other thing, because otherwise you may get something different. But the point is, you go and you clear through the things that get stuck in your aura. Because again, we're not just inside of the body, we're also out here. So you have to clear it. And so sometimes it literally is like that. And so at least try it that way. Sometimes we get so stuck within these things and these belief systems. And it's like, get that out of my aura. Like, get that out. Get that out. Doubts out, fear of resistance, whatever, like whatever, get it out, clear it, shake it. I do this a lot when I teach you guys Kundalini. We do this a lot. This clears the energy in the aura. Shake it around, right? Shake it. If you're in my Sacred Chakras journey, we have a morning meditation where we literally just shake everything off in the morning. Like there are, like it's literally like shifting the energy is a thing. So you have to shake this stuff off. We have to actively do this work. Okay. I've been sore since Friday, yeah, from our workout. We had a serious workout. Felt so amazing after our eclipse work, yeah. So doing the, so these are guys on Zoom that are like in the courses, right? And the thing is, when I like to do the work, when the most, I've learned this, because I was working and climbing the ladder and doing all the things and doing it harder. And then at one point I was like, I'm going to shift this. I'm going to make it easier and more efficient. And so I realized that when you work with the cycles of the moon and the sun and the earth and the stars, there are these energy moments where you do the work in that moment and it counts like times 20. So instead of doing it every day for 20 days, I do it that one day at 100%, right? And that's the work that we do in Moon Babe Society. And so it's like, we're in there, man. And it's like, we cry and we feel it and it's physical and then it's done. And then you shift. So when you use the energy of the universe to support you in these like powerful moments, this stuff gets easier, right? So the more you know, the easier it gets. And the easier it gets, the easier it gets because you continue to run in that momentum. And then you get like, clearer and clearer and higher and more in love with life and more in love with yourself, more forgiving of yourself, more attracting of the things that you want. And that's how the cycle goes. Okay. So literally the doubts, clear them out of your mind, clear them out of your aura like this. Okay. The fears, like flick them out. I went through a time where I was seriously like, I could hear things. I was like, out in the morning, right? Like if like things come to your mind, like just clear them out, like you're done, and then bring in the positive stuff. Like I understand that it's not easy, and don't let the things creep in your head, okay? So once we clear this stuff, we realize that the thing that we want wants to come to us. So we're done with the resistance. We're like, oh my gosh, we're done with the resistance, with the fears. I'm fine. If I fail, and then sometimes we get exhausted. It's like, I am so exhausted. I don't even care. Like, I don't give a shit. If I fail, I'm just going for broke, right? Like we get to that point of exhaustion. We don't have to do that. We don't have to do that. You can actually choose a higher level of manifesting instead of like, everything has to go to hell. How many times people have to hit rock bottom when you're down on your knees and then you're like, please God, universe, angels, hear me, everything in the universe, I need you. Then you believe. Okay, so all of these things, the resistance has to be bust out. The doubts have to be bust out. Fear of failure versus, it doesn't matter. When you're at your lowest point on your knees, it doesn't matter. That's when you believe, because that's your only option. So our job is to bring that point from being where it happens at your lowest, when you lost it all. Let's raise that up here. Let's make that possible, where you believe everything is possible before we hit all of that stuff and we go through all of that ringer. So you just bring it back up, right? And now it becomes possible here instead of having you down on your knees, right? Just choose. But if we don't choose, we go through the pain. So that's really the two things. You either choose or you deal. So, and I learned it the hard way, and maybe it takes you a couple of tries, right? But if in your mind you find a time when you're like, oh my gosh, that's right. I remember that one time I was so desperate and I got so low. And then the thing finally happened. Like it finally happened just when I didn't believe it anymore. Like I had lost all hope, and then I was praying and I just surrendered, you know, whatever. And then it came. That's because all your you wore yourself out. That means your resistance was done. You wore yourself out going through the pain, and then the miracle shows up. Okay, so our job is to believe in the miracle without wearing ourselves out through the pain. So believing that the miracle can happen now and that we're worthy of the miracle now. Okay, so now we're talking about the feeling worthy part. So in order to clear all of these things, the resistance, the doubts, fear of failure, fear of success, whatever other fears come up, okay, fear of, you know, having your heart broken, fear of not knowing what to do, you know, not doing the right thing, fear of whatever the hell, doing it wrong, all sorts of fears come up. Fear of not being in alignment, because that's also a thing right now, okay, like fear of whatever. Instead of fearing things, call in the thing that you want. That's much more effective, okay? So now we're at feeling worthy. Feeling worthy is the key. But if you have too much resistance and other stuff in your aura, right? So do you see what I'm saying? Like now we've cleared out the junk that's in the aura. Now we're here. Now we're a little bit up closer. Now we're where it counts. We're like, shit, this is getting raw and real. And I don't know if I feel worthy about this. I may have done all this other work up here, but do I really deserve this thing? You know, am I really ready for it? Can I really hold it? Okay. And this is where the work that we do of energy expansion, if you're a starseed, a healer, a light worker, a grid worker, way shower, gatekeeper, like all the people right now that are involved, you know that you feel inside like you have to expand your energy field. You don't know why, or maybe you do, but for the most part, a lot of people feel like they have to expand. They have to just like, their energy has to go stretch out like a big yawn, and like your energy just has to keep going. And then you feel, you know, and if you don't, your soul shoots out, and all of a sudden you have like, what's it called? Like where you astral project, but like it's spontaneous astral projection, and you're out and you're in the cosmos because your soul wants to reach, and you're like, wait, what's happening? Where am I? Like, come back, right? Like you have these experiences. That's because your soul wants to grow, presence, space, consciousness, expansion. Those are the things that are needed, okay? The more high energy you hold inside of your body, the more you're able to feel worthy of, the more you're able to attract, okay? So the clearer your energy is, the more powerful your energy is, the stronger your energy pillar is, the more like bright and shiny and like rainbowy all of your light is, you have more energy matching, you have more like literally like electrical power available to attract the things that you want, okay? Energy is power. Lack of energy is depression. So that's really what it comes down to, which is why a lot of the drugs and a lot of the things, what do? They give you a lower frequency. Because if you're in lower frequency, lower vibrational frequency, lower resonance, lower energy, you're not manifesting. Think about when you don't feel good. Think about with health. This is easy to illustrate. When you're sick, you're not worried about manifesting $1 million, right? I mean, unless you have like some kind of untreatable disease that requires, you know, treatment, and now you have to believe that you can manifest that, but that's another thing. But think of that when you have like, it's Christmas and you have the seasonal flu or something, you know, or you're like allergies and your like thing is clouded, your mind is clouded. It's so hard when you're in those moments to actually reach higher because your energy is reduced. Your frequency is low. You're on the low radio station. You're on the AM, not the FM. You know what I mean? Like you're on the, maybe that's not the right thing, but you're like on the lower, like frequency emission. Your energy feels like it's contracted. Your energy feels like you're here, right? When you're here, you're inside. A lot of times it's like when people's back is curved, you're hunched over, you're like this, you know, like you're holding your energy on for yourself. That's not manifesting mode. Okay. The people that are manifesting are the people that are like this, hard out, open, buzzing, 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 and you're attracting the things. Now, when you're in that mode and you're buzzing and you have a ton of energy, it can be a ton of positive energy or a ton of negative energy. So this is also to be said. Okay. So if you're like blasting out a bunch of anger because you're just like, you know, whatever, F this and F that, and this is revolution, then you're going to attract a bunch of shit. But if you're in the right place and you're in alignment and your heart is in the right place and you go out there like this, which is a lot harder to do than to shoot out anger and resentment and fears and judgments and whatever not. But if you're out there with your heart wide open, blasting out love, you're going to attract the good stuff. Okay. So Marina says, like power saving mode for your phone battery. That's exactly what I'm saying. Thank you. That's a perfect way of illustrating it. So when you don't feel good, you're in power saving mode. And when you're in power saving mode, you can't manifest. Like your apps are not refreshing in the background. I love that. It's such a good way of saying it. So that's what happens. So you have to constantly have extra energy. You want to be like filled. You want to have energy to take care of you. Like your battery always has to be charged, right? Like we don't want to run ourselves because you never know, right? When like you're going to want to do this, you're going to want to do this. There's energy expenditure that wants to be allocated for your dreams, okay? Wants to be allocated for your manifestation. So every day, and I talked about this in the other workshops, you have like a genie bottle, right? Like a manifesting genie bottle where when you fill it enough, then the genie comes out and it's like, okay, what's your deal? You know, like, what do you want? What is your wish? Then you have enough energy in there that you're going to manifest the thing. But you have to put the energy towards that. Instead of feeding your doubts and your fears, feed your manifestation, right? So that's the thing that happens is whatever energy we have, we go out in the world and we end up feeding the fears and we end up fearing, you know, whatever is coming up instead of actually feeding, because our energy goes somewhere, okay? So direct it where you want it to go, okay? So number one, you have to feel strong in your energy field. Like you have to feel strong in your energy field. This is health. This is like wealth comes from that because you feel wealthy in your vibration. You can feel it. You feel strong. Your eyes light up. You're like buzzing. People like just by coming around you, they're like, whoa, something's going on. You don't have to say anything, right? And people feel you. When you're like that, you're like a light bulb that's like all the way up. It's like no dimmer switch here, right? Like all the way up. And so that's when you attract things. That's when you attract things. And so it's having the energy to hold it, and then you have to believe it. But it's easier to believe when you have energy to allocate to the belief. If your energy is low, if you feel like shit, you don't have the energy to believe. You can't even reach it. You can't even reach it, right? So if you have enough energy, then you're like, oh yeah, I can believe that, right? Like I can totally believe that. Every day that you can believe it, every day that you feel good, and this would also behoove everyone too, is when you feel good, put energy into it. It all adds up, okay? So when you feel like you're on top of the world, don't take it for granted in terms of like, don't do the work that day because you're already on top of the world, right? Like do the work that day because you are on top of the world and you can in fact attract that thing, okay? So that's when your energy is magnetic. That's when your energy is on fire. That's when you want to use it. You're like, right? So that's what you want to do. Like, for example, if I ever have a day that's like, I wake up and there's like, you know, chaos, like right now we're remodeling the house. There's chaos going on. There's like the city coming over here inspecting the thing. Like when a day starts like that for whatever reason, and I don't have a way of starting my day in like, you know, positive, super like aligned mode, and then like things happen and people get upset and there's arguments like from the neighbors or whatever. And I'm telling you, like, this is an example of my reality, but then I'm like, I am not touching any content. I'm not writing a post. I am not writing you guys an email. I am not creating a course. That is not the energy we do this stuff in at all. But when I wake up and I have time to like put my feet down on my fuzzy mat and like get into my 12D and I get on, you know, my high, everything is working for me. That is when I sit down. That's when I will write things. That's when I do, you know, that's when I know. So, okay. So we got 1 minute left. I love you guys. I'm going to close this now because otherwise it's going to not download the video. So I love you. This is a bonus. Go for any other things, go to moonbabetribe.com. I love you. Mwah. Okay, let's do this. I'm so glad that Instagram now offers the little warning thing. Hopefully it works. And then that's it. And then if you have questions, if you guys have specific questions, let me help you through this stuff, okay? So it may or may not have worked. So we're going to share it. Sorry, loves. But in the meantime, type. Meaning if you have any questions. Okay. All right, let's see if that works. The video is uploading. Okay. All right. So if you have any questions about specific things that you're wanting to manifest, because I kind of kept it general in a sense. I just don't want to see what my feed is. Sorry. But I don't want perfect. Now I have a fairy on my feed. Now we can do this. Okay. Yeah, let's do it. Okay, Kira, doubt. How am I going to manifest if I am the one bringing in the income? Okay, so if you are the, so this is about money. So I feel like we need to know a little bit more. I mean, you can rewire that. Somehow you have it to where you're the one that's bringing in the income, puts you in a place of not being in your power. So you want to wire that in your mind to where you will manifest because of that, okay? Because you have the power of manifesting that. So somehow the fact that you're making money is disempowering you. So we need to switch it to being something that is empowering. And also, if there are judgments with that that have to do with your spouse, you know, with your partner, then we want to clear that. Because sometimes it's about like holding the energy of things being possible through another person, okay? And you can start to, oh, how are you going to manifest if you're not the one that's bringing in the income? Okay, perfect. Now I understand what you're saying. You can manifest bonuses through your other partner. You can manifest all sorts of things. In fact, I will tell you that this happened, and I actually was telling Henry, I was like, do you want to come and talk to like my group at some point? Because I started thinking he has a much bigger consciousness. So we're talking about money. He has a much bigger consciousness when it comes to money than me. For him, it's a lot easier, right? I'm working through things. And, you know, his numbers for me are like, you know, like I'm working towards that stuff. So, so at one point I was like, well, we both want, you know, to be in a house like this. We both want certain things. And so I was like, what if I hold, you know, because I know that money comes in different ways. And I know that if I believe it very strongly in the past, for example, I get asked, like all of a sudden I get like booked up for 1 million sessions. I have people that purchase courses, you know, that I'm not even selling, you know, that are not even open for registration. Like I know, like people come up and want to pay me for things that I didn't even think about right before. Like, hey, I'm a real estate agent. I need somebody to clear new houses that I am like, you know, selling to people because like shitty things have happened in there. Like literally crazy things I've had phone calls for because I believed that I was worthy of that next level of money. Okay. So in any case, at some point it was getting to be really big money. And for me, it was like, whew, I've never done that before. I don't know if I can hold it. Right. So stretching. And like, we're getting in like the hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so I was like, but Henry can, because he's not scared of it. Like, it's different for him. So I started holding it. And then all of a sudden he started, like, all this stuff started happening for him, started happening for him. And I was like, that is amazing. That is amazing. And it doesn't mean that he's not doing work. It just means that I believe in him enough that my belief is supporting his belief of everything that's happening, right? So all together, we have been able to do the things that we wanted to do. But it's really cool to see it, like the support coming from both ends. Like believing in him and him believing in me has allowed us to actually do incredible things. So I know that you can manifest through the other person completely. It'll be like a bonus out of the blue. It'll be like, oh my gosh, this actually worked out. Oh my gosh, I didn't realize that, you know, this happened. And sometimes it can also be absolutely like random stuff. Like you get a refund check in the mail for whatever reason that you weren't expecting. Or, you know, you get like accounts that get paid off for, you know, whatever reason. And you're like, huh. So things happen like that. So give it a possibility that, you know, it can show up like that. And I hope this makes sense, Kira, so let me know. Okay, Claritha, I was thinking about my resistance this morning to money. So glad you talked about that. Oh, good. Yeah, so really that's the thing. If we can, when it comes to money, if we can clear that resistance, right? Because there's attachments to it. And then it gets easier. So I can tell you that it gets easier and it gets easier and it gets easier. Okay. Christina, maybe a silly question, but is debt during this time seen as really bad, or is being approved for more money actually manifesting? Okay, so debt is never bad, okay? So reroute that in your mind. So for any of you that have debt, debt is not bad. Debt is money that is allowing us to do things that we can pay over time, and it has a purpose. Like it's money that is supporting us in a different function, in a different way. So there's no reason to be scared of it. That's a thing that, you know, happens because of society things like debt is bad or debt is whatever. I actually have always, this is my personal belief, so check in, okay, with yourself, but I'll share this with you. I've always felt this, and this did come from my dad. So truth be told, because in Italy, and so let me say this also too, oh, it's coming straight in my face. In Italy, people believe in having liquid cash versus like credit cards stuff. And so it was always important to have some money saved. It was always like, it's much more of like a savings culture than it is, you know, in the United States in general. And so it was always more important to have some money in cash, and then also you could have debt, because you don't know, things could happen and you may want, you know, money that like to move around. I always thought that was a good idea. So for me, it was always good. I always felt very supported that I could have some debt and then I could have some money that was, you know, in savings. I never made it a deal to where I felt like, oh my gosh, that I have this money sitting in my bank account. I should pay this stuff off. I should pay this stuff off. I should pay this stuff off. Right. So I always felt very free in the fact that this is okay to be here and this is okay to be here. Right. And that I could always just kind of money like was fluid that way. And so you have to figure it out. The important thing is that you figure it out in a way that it feels supportive, okay, for you. Like when I decided to start like the whole Moon Bibs and the Light Tribe thing, I had like, I was one of the, when I was telling the story about like hitting rock bottom and all that, in so many ways that was me, right? Because I wanted to believe like there were other things at play, and I had to learn my lessons. And so that really happened. So it's almost like now I'm like, okay, but you don't have to do it like that, because now I see how it can be done in a much easier way. And so I want to teach you guys that way. But it had to get to that point. And so, yes, I put out, like, I had to believe, you know, all sorts of things. I asked, in fact, I asked people for money. I actually asked 2 friends, 1 client, 1 friend, to, like, if they would fund me in, you know, the work that I was doing. I'll have to tell you guys this story. And they each gave me $5,000 to build my business, and it was amazing. And then I went out and got cards, and like I paid for websites, I paid for things. I paid for a bunch of things that then I later realized that I didn't need, right? And then, but at first you're just like, oh, I need to learn how to do this, and I need to learn how to do this stuff online. So I had a bunch of debt, but I didn't make it mean anything. And that's the important part. So it was money that was there to support me. I was so thankful that I had cards. I was so thankful that I had, you know, the ability to do whatever it is that I needed to do. And the important part is that you don't let it scare you. Now it's all paid, but it's like, you know, don't let it scare you. It's there to support you. So the important part is that you feel supported by it, and then just commit that you're going to pay it, right? Like, no big deal. Like, this is important. This is supporting me. This is helping me. This is a way of manifesting money, and it's working for me. I'm going to pay it. I'm committed to paying this much, you know, all the time. And then, you know, I'm going to pay it in bigger chunks and bigger chunks and bigger chunks. And then it's going to be gone, right? Like student loans or things like that. If any of you have student loans, don't make it mean anything. It's just, it's something that was there as something that, it's energy, right? It's energy. It was energy that supported you at some point. And so we just don't have to view it as baggage or as anything bad. So I hope that this is helpful, because there's a lot of things around that right now. And so just view it as something like, for me, I was always so thankful. I was like, thank you, American Express, for like giving me Sky Miles for my debt, you know, like, thank you for whatever it was. Like, if you're in a position of gratitude, it always works out. Like, to me, it was the ability to make things happen. Okay. So, all right. Really cool. And also believe, Christina, I want to say this to you, believe that believe that debt is supporting you, and that there's another way, like manifesting a credit line, for example, absolutely is important. And then manifest it on the other side. Because if you can manifest credit, you can also manifest the money coming, right? And so it's just kind of different ways of bringing in the, you know, the money. So it's like, just manifest it on the other side, coming in, and then it's going to be great. Okay. Kira, thank you so much. Okay, good. So that made sense for Kira. Okay, Tori, I think I manifested the Zoom link today, which was great because I deleted social media for the day. So I am grateful for you having me here today. You are so awesome. Yeah, because I sent this to everybody on Goddess on Mission too. I was like, everybody on Goddess on Mission needs this. Boom. And Tori did Goddess on Mission last year, so she got the link. Amazing. You deleted social media for the day. You're so funny. So I am so glad that you were here. Amazing. Okay. Clarissa, I'm thankful for my school debt. It gave me a great experience. Yeah. So these are the things, like when we start rewiring and we feel supported by the things, you know, and in the way that the money like circles around, then there's no fear. If there's no fear, there's room for more. Okay. So, okay. Thank you. Totally made sense. Yay. Okay. Stacia, can you please re-explain what you did with Henry about manifesting? Yes. Money coming in different ways. And you do the work together, or were you manifesting for him? Okay, so this is what happened. Let me see where he's at. Sometimes I just want him to, and it's not that he's like fully aware of the things that I do. So let's just be clear about this too. So there was a point, and this was very recently, and so you guys will remember this because you've been in the courses, where we were in the other house, the house that had like the beautiful view, where Henry and I first moved in together, and we rented it for 6 months. And I loved that house a lot, but it wasn't like a place that was our home. He didn't feel at home. And that house was like $1 million house already as it is. And we were like, and you know, he was saying, I want land. Like there were reasons why he wanted to move, and there were things he wanted to do. And in my mind, I could see this, and I was like, we're going to end up somewhere in the middle of nowhere if the money doesn't come, because there has to be, like, the places that we wanted to be in required a certain amount of money, unless you wanted to go like rural Idaho, okay, like in the middle of nowhere. So seeing this, I was like, okay, God, okay, high yourself. Like, we need some numbers that I am like, you know, it's not as easy for me to grasp quite yet, right? Like, he is fine with hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like, I'm just saying, in consciousness, I'm working my way there, right? So what I did is I basically said, here's the thing, we're gonna need ridiculous amounts of money, like for this house, for all of the work that you guys are seeing, you know, that we're doing for all of these things. And so I opened up myself, like as big as I could handle it. And I did so much work, like clearing anything that stood in my way, right? When it came to money, anything like worthiness, like, you know, not aligned, like whatever it was. And I manifested, you know, for myself. And then I realized I was holding enough, and I constantly grew, you know, to tens of thousands. But for me, it's tens of thousands and multiples, tens of thousands. For him is like hundreds of thousands is easier. And so I was like, okay, this is not, you know, it's going to be easier to come through him. And so I expanded my belief that this ridiculous amount of money could come through him, not necessarily through me, that what could come through me could come through me, and what could come through him could come through him. And then I believed that it was possible, because, so it's kind of like a way of like looping the energy. I believed that it was possible because I knew that he was not scared of money. Does that make sense? So I knew that he's like, you know, he's calling it in. He was looking at selling his, like, you know, some deals that he had with his company that were like in the millions and whatever not. So he was working with bigger numbers than I was comfortable. And I was like, it's going to be easier for him than me. So I believed beyond doubt that things would happen in face of whatever was happening with the economy with him. He felt it, and energetically, you know, we are really connected. So I think, you know, also having the belief of someone in you and knowing that they fully believe you and fully support you, and, you know, he already believes it. It just happened like this, right? And it just sort of kind of exploded. So then when this house came up, it was like, yeah, okay, we can actually do this, which was, yeah. And so that's how it happened. I had to believe that whatever I felt, you know, it became as like a couple, and we're not married or anything, right? So, but I just said, you know, like, this is what we need. These are things that we need to do. I need this to come through, whether it comes through me or him in some way. This is what needs to happen. And so it did, right? And so that's kind of how that happened. Hope that made sense. Okay, so let's just say I manifested through him. Not for him, but like through him. Even though it's his manifestation too, he's doing the work, you know. But for me, I know that I did my part in believing, and that was a big deal, and allowing it. Okay, so yes, Tori, I remember the farm. Yeah, we wanted to have the farm. So Tori actually came to visit me when I was at the old house, and she met Henry too. And so, and Henry at the time was talking about like wanting a farm. Yeah, it's so funny. So Tori didn't come to visit me per se. She came for one of Gary's courses. So she flew out. Okay, Clarita, I love that Henry isn't totally aware of what you do. So, I mean, he is, but like, I think to an extent, right? And so it's just like, it's as close as I think you can speak it, per se. Yeah. Okay, Stacia, I love that because I feel my husband may be ready for some change, and we always talk about a new place eventually, and he talks about money also, and things being easier on his end. Yeah, so if you can, like, literally, this was the thing. I set some intentions and I wrote some things on our fridge. And so for me, it was like, we had the money conversations, because it's when you have a supportive partnership and when you have something to manifest together, then it's easier, right? Because your energy is like intertwined. And so for me, it was like, okay, how are we going to manifest $1 million? You know, the most of it's going to come through you, but like, I got a part of it. And so he's like, well, I can probably like hold this much, like, can you hold this much, right? And so it was literally like this kind of conversation. I was like, we're gonna need to make $1 million. So it's and it makes me laugh because we actually sat down at the dinner table and had this conversation, but we had no doubts, and we both kind of decided like, okay, we're gonna do this thing. And so believing in yourself, believing in your partner, believing that it can happen. But whether or not they're involved, actively involved, you know, in the manifesting, we never really talked about it beyond that because he's just in his flow. But, you know, it is amazing to just hold the energy, and the energy of it can continue to come and continue to happen, and it just continues to flow. So, okay. Okay, cool. Well, I thought someone else like wrote something different. Okay, so you guys are understanding what I'm saying. And so it's, the thing is, if there is a will, there's a way. Think of it that way. So it's like, it boils down to that, but that's the truth. And the other thing too, that is helpful, and that we talked about it in the other ones, is that money likes to have a job to do. Money is energy. Energy likes to be directed places. So when it comes to money, money likes to have an assignment. So like, money is supportive. Like for me, it's so much easier to believe that I can attract ridiculous amounts of money if the money goes to a place where I can then have a retreat, right? And then where I can actually do so much healing and so many amazing things for the world, instead of it being like I'm manifesting money to go on a selfish trip or to do selfish things. Like, that's not my jam, right? But if I am manifesting things for the greater good, like if I have a higher vision, then it works. And Gary calls this, if you've done his workshops, I think he explains this as some of in some of his free workshops, but he calls it like a personal context and then a higher context. So there's something for you, and then there's something for the world. And if you can hold that in context of what you're doing and how it benefits the world, then you can hold more, because you're passing it on. And I say that also every day. Like, money likes to have, a funnel. And so for me, is I manifest things and then I can pass them on to the world, right? Like, it's a flow. And I think money likes to be in that flow. Like, it likes to be alive because the energy of it is alive. So, okay. Yay. All right. Good questions. All right, let's manifest some amazingness, you guys. I'm so excited. I'm so proud of all of you doing this work. So, Stacia is writing stickies about that, having the means for the greatest good of all. I'm fully supported. Yeah. So the way that I say it is, let me go through my morning affirmations, but that I call in the abundance, and then I say that I may pass this great abundance on and share it with others. And so, like, I am worthy, like my great work deserves to be supported, right? That I may have this great abundance, and then that I could pass this great abundance on and share it with others. And so I feel it, like I feel it coming through. I feel the support, and then this huge support comes through, and then it passes on to others. And I'm very clear about that. Like, I'm very clear that it's not a clingy feeling, right? It goes through me, and it's a constant support. Because I think sometimes too, so let me say this and clear this up. Sometimes people think of money manifesting as a one-time deal. But the work that we're doing here, this is not a one-time deal. This is a state of consciousness. And so it keeps going through you. It keeps running through you, and there will always be more. Because if you're doing good things, and if you're holding yourself worthy of it, it will keep coming, right? And it will keep on getting better and getting better and getting better. So it's not about like manifesting it, boom, and it's done and there's a stop. It's about holding a state of consciousness by which things can continue to go through you, and you feel supported no matter what. That's the place, right? So, okay. Yay, awesome. This is also helpful. Thank you so much. You're the best. Oh, yay. Okay. I'm so glad. I love you guys. I'm so proud of all of the work that you're putting in. Go manifest amazing things, abundance, love, all of it. All of it, all of it, all of it. I know that you're all doing amazing things in the world. So I love you guys. We're going to schedule the bonus number 4 of this, and this will be like more structured and more of like a PDF one. And we're going to do more of like the feelings work of it. Okay. And it will be a little bit later on, but use these formulas and match this, like continue the work from the things, that we did in the previous one with the PDF download that you have. Okay, Kira, I've been working on the tools you gave from the last 2 trainings, and it's totally working. Yes, this stuff works. I'm telling you, I've been doing the work, and for some reason, gifts flow in really easily for me. She manifests through gifts. See? And the past 2 weeks, so many gifts every day. So thank you. Amazing. And that's the thing, is like, it's whatever you can believe. So gifts is a beautiful way. People start gifting you things, you know, or things start showing up free in your reality, or like, you know, sales happen or things like that. Like people, you know, like once you raise your consciousness, and Kira, I have to give you props, because Kira has been doing this work for a couple of years now, at least. And at first she was getting really frustrated because she was like, man, I'm not hearing my angels, right? Like, you know, this is harder than I thought, but she stood with it. And I watched her just all of a sudden, she's like, this is making sense. The answers are coming. The gifts are coming. Now, you know, it's the money and it's all of these other things. So amazing. I'm so proud of you, Kira. Like amazing, amazing work. And now the things are coming. So once you start manifesting gifts, okay, it's in your consciousness. So it means that the things want to come to you. So give it a possibilities that they can come to you in other ways, that they can come to you in money, that they can come to you in unexpected checks. Like, I wonder how and you can start saying this stuff. I wonder how the universe is going to surprise me today. I wonder how abundance is going to come, you know, for me. I wonder how money is going to show up in my life. Like, look for the possibilities, like make it, you know, very open. So, okay, amazing. Yay, absolutely. I love you all. I will see you in all of the things, okay? And the Instagrams and everything else. And if you have questions, post them in the group. Mwah, mwah, mwah. I will upload this and you will have it forever, okay? Love you guys. Go manifest the life. Love you.